Welcome to Hey, it's CarlyRae's Book Club. This is Book Hour where authors will talk their latest novels, reveal their writing process, and walk us through a day in their life when writing. I'm your host, Carly Rae. Today, author Kathleen West joins us to chat about her new book, Home or Away. We'll find out if Kathleen played hockey, what inspired her to craft a story about former hockey teammates, and whether this may be her favorite book she's written yet. Stay tuned for more right after this. Today, author Kathleen West joins us to chat about her new book, Home or Away. We'll find out if Kathleen played hockey, what inspired her to craft a story about former hockey teammates, and whether this may be her favorite book she's written yet. Stay tuned for more right after this. Welcome, Kathleen. I'm so excited to have you on Book Hour.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so awesome.
Yeah, now tell us where you're joining us from.
I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're in the state of hockey, which I guess is appropriate.
Yeah, good time for this book coming out.
Yeah. Actually, my younger son is just going to play in the Pee Wee state hockey tournament this weekend. So Pee Wee is like 13 and 14-year-olds.
Yeah, well, hopefully they win.
I know. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. Now, Home or Away is your latest novel centering around two former hockey players. Tell viewers more about what they can expect.
Yes. Well, Lee and Susie, my two main characters, were both on the cusp of making the 2002 Olympic women's hockey team. And Susie makes the team and Lee doesn't. And at that point, she leaves the sport forever, moves away to Florida, actually, where you are, and doesn't return until her son is 9 years old and ready to make his own name in hockey. So they move back into the world that she left, and she has to face like all the bad decisions and all the people she left in 2002.
And now, are there twists and secrets that get revealed?
Of course, there are twists and secrets that get revealed. It turns out she made a lot of personal sacrifices in her quest to become an Olympian, including perhaps engaging in an affair with an assistant coach that she never told her husband about.
Oh, well, viewers will have to stay tuned for this book. Now, on Goodreads, I have seen many readers say Home or Away has your signature wit in it, and you really bring your own style into this plot. Was this story based on your life?
No, I wish I were like an Olympic caliber athlete, but unfortunately, I'm just sort of like a regular recreational athlete. However, I'm a highly competitive person and I do love sports. So it was fun to explore that part of my personality and that interest that I've had. And also, as a mom of two teenagers who do a lot of sports, I'm really interested in sports parenting and what that feels like and how intense it can be. So it was fun to kind of dive into that world in a fictional way.
Yeah. Now, what gave you the idea for the plot of Home or Away?
Well, I thought about like what it would take, like if you're trying to get to the Olympics, like how singularly you have to be focused on that particular goal. And I can't remember exactly what got that into my head, but I started thinking about like what would happen if everything that you were working for, every part of your identity, everything just fell away. Like either you failed at the big moment or you got injured or something happened. So I was thinking about this person who thinks that her entire self-worth is based on making an Olympic team, and then she doesn't. Like, what do you do with that? So that's kind of where the story got started.
Yeah. Now, in Home or Away, do you have a favorite character?
Well, what happens is I work on these books, and by the end, I really love them all. I think that readers will think that Gus is the best character. He's the 9-year-old kid, the son of Lee, who's getting back into hockey, and we see him in his own chapters. He writes in a journal, like a hockey training journal, and he keeps track of his stats, and he writes how he's feeling, and he rates his performances. And so far, like every reader that I've talked to has really liked Gus. And I like Gus, and I like writing kids in general because they kind of give us a behind the scenes look at their parents. Like they tell us like what they think about their parents' behavior, which I think is fun.
Yeah. Now, did you talk to your kids and try to interview them to get this character?
I did. Well, my kids are not that cooperative in helping me with my book projects. I did ask them a lot about hockey. They both have played hockey, but they weren't super helpful with that and mostly just laughed at my ineptitude since I've been watching hockey for so many years. So I kind of drew on. My other job is as a teacher. I've been teaching for 20 years and I've taught a lot of different levels of students, all ages. So I kind of drew on my experiences in the classroom.
Yeah. Well, I love the contrast between the ice being cold on the hockey rink and the friendship between the protagonist being even colder. Did you always want this set in a hockey rink, this plot?
Oh, I can't remember exactly why I decided hockey. I knew I wanted to write a sports book, and hockey is so intense and all-encompassing in Minnesota. I think that was, what brought it. The world, it's kind of ubiquitous. Like every suburb in the Minneapolis area has its own hockey association with many teams at every level. So it's a pretty engrossing, like all-encompassing world. And I was attracted to an idea like that. And I love the idea of looking at women athletes. And these two women especially were on the cusp of women's hockey, which was just developing in the late 90s here. And so they were on the first wave of elite women's hockey players. And I thought that carried like just a little bit extra intensity, a little extra pressure for them into their friendship.
Yeah. Now, did you do a lot of research
Yes.
for it? Yeah.
It was really fun research, actually. I got to talk to a couple of Olympians, and I'd never really met anyone who'd been to the Olympics before. And I talked to a couple Olympic women's hockey players, including a woman who has a gold, a silver, and a bronze medal from the 98, 02, and 06 Olympics.
Yeah.
And so that was really fun just to get a sense of her intensity, what it meant to her, like how she managed to channel this kind of ambition into this singular goal. So I loved that. I also interviewed a former student of mine who now plays for the University of Minnesota women's team. And then a couple of my former students and a friend of mine who's a hockey mom vetted all of the hockey in the book. So that was pretty fun too.
Yeah. Well, the cover for Home or Away is great too. Were you involved in the design process?
I wish I could say yes, but I have no design sense. I pretty much just only know if I like something or I don't like it. And I'm not very good at anything like visual art related like that. Lucky for me, I have the best people. My publisher is Berkeley, an imprint at Penguin Random House, and they have this art department. And, they're geniuses over there. They know exactly what to do. So actually the first image that we saw of Home or Away with the house and the ice block, that was it. And that became the final cover. So I just got really lucky.
Yeah. Now, if you had to pick one chapter, which one are you most excited for readers to read?
Oh my gosh, that's kind of an unfair question. There are 50 chapters or something in the book. I like really short chapters that kind of keep you reading. So there are a lot of chapters in the book. There are some chapters that I think readers will think are really funny. And they're emails from the head manager at the Hockey Association. It's kind of a little infusion of some more comic relief in what is otherwise a pretty serious story. So I think they'll enjoy Kathy Kelleher's email chapters.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to share about Home or Away with viewers? Is this your favorite book you've written yet?
Yes, I have said that. It's my favorite. And I think it is. I mean, I know maybe we're not supposed to confess that we have favorite books, but the way I talk about it with my students is this is the latest, and I've been trying to grow as a writer, throughout my career. So I don't want to say that my first book is my best book. The third book should be my best book.
Yeah.
So I definitely think I grew a lot. I really worked hard. It stretched me in new ways. And it's one, as an author, you read your book, I don't even know how times work out. And still, when I read this one, I think okay, yeah, I'm happy with how this turned out.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. You heard Kathleen talk all things Home or Away. Stay tuned because when we come back, we'll find out more about Kathleen's writing process. Welcome back to Book Hour. I'm your host, Carly-Rae, here with Kathleen West. Now, Kathleen, you've written numerous novels, each one with a different plot. Walk us through a day in your life when writing. Do you have to write during a certain time of day or no?
That's a great question, and it's changed over time. When I wrote my first novel, I used to write from 4:45 to 6:15 a.m. That was the time, and it was because I was actively parenting two kids, and I had a full-time job as a teacher, and that was really the only time during the day that I could guarantee that I would be able to sit down kind of undisturbed and get it done. Since then, I've walked my teaching back a little bit to part-time. My kids are a little older. I have a little bit more freedom. And so I don't get up at 4:45 anymore. I usually, this school year, I teach in the afternoons. So after I drop my kids off at school, I go to my own school, and then I usually work in the morning there from like 9 to noon.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'll stop writing and stop writing related jobs and get into teaching related jobs. And then around 3 o'clock, I switch from teaching to momming, and then we start over. So it's always just like a puzzle piece, but I kind of like it.
Now, do you live by like an outline? Do you outline a lot or do you kind of just like write as you go?
I do outline, but so far in the first three books, I have not stuck to the outline. The first book I wrote like randomly, out of order, just like little pieces here and there. And since I've learned more about story, I've tried to follow an outline more closely. I'm in the process of brainstorming a new project right now. So actually, right before I got on this call with you, I was working on an outline and telling myself like, you will stick to this outline. So like, I'm hoping that I can become like a little bit more regimented about that. But there are always surprises that happen during the writing process. Like sometimes you learn something about a character in the middle of a chapter that you had no idea was coming.
Yeah.
So there has to be some room for those serendipitous discoveries too.
Yeah. Now, how do you come up with your plot ideas? Do you watch movies or get inspired by reading other novels?
I read tons of books, and I mean, everything. I love reading. I try to read 52 books a year. I'm a big like goal person. So like 52, that's like a one book a week. Like I can do it. And I read all kinds of things, like serious literary novels, really light novels, romance, thriller, mystery, lots and lots of things. YA, I love YA too. And I do watch a ton of TV. My husband and I like to kind of chillax in the evening, before we go to bed. So all of those ideas are kind of brewing, and I'm lucky in that I've been a teacher and I get to interact with hundreds of young people all the time. And sometimes they give me like a spark of an idea.
Yeah. Now, what's your favorite part of writing a novel?
Being done with it. I also like to run, and I think running and writing are pretty similar pursuits in a lot of ways. Most of the time, like I don't want to start writing, but when I'm done writing for the day, I feel very good about it. And it can be the same with running for me. Like I don't want to get out the door, but I almost never regret getting out the door.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's painful to sit there, and I have to do all kinds of tricks, like set a timer or whatever, like, or give myself a sticker. There's a lot of things I have to do to get it done.
So do you get like writer's block at all?
Sometimes I feel stuck, but instead of just letting myself sit there, I might write out of order. Like I usually keep a list of scenes in the back of a notebook that I know have to come into the story at some point. So I usually can pick something that I at least like want to start working on from that list.
Yeah. So you always write something every day.
Yeah, I try to. Sometimes on the weekends I don't, but getting into the habit, it's a great habit to keep. It's much harder to get back into it if you let it go.
Yeah. Now, did you always want to be a writer?
Yes. Yes. But I just never really imagined that I could write a novel. I didn't know how to do that, and I didn't feel like I had time. Yeah. So although I imagined being a writer from the time I was a child, I never actually started to try to write a novel until my late 30s.
Yeah. Now, as you mentioned, you do try to read one book a week. Did you always like to read in different genres? Like, how did you settle on what genre you decided to write in?
Yeah, I always, I have kind of a light style that comes naturally to me, a dialogue heavy style that comes naturally to me. And I did try to write like a more literary novel with like a multi-generational sort of historical structure before I started writing my first book. And it just wasn't turning out. It felt really forced. And right around that time, I started reading Leon Moriarty's books, like Big Little Lies and The Husband's Secret. And I thought, okay, like this, I could do this. Like this is more my style. And so I kind of just let myself be myself in my writing. And I think I tell my students this too, like the more you sound like yourself, the better your writing is going to be. So I don't know the answer about like how to find your genre, but if you have a gut feeling, like you're probably right.
Yeah. Now, when can viewers expect more books from you?
Well, that's a really excellent question. I am working on, I have a fourth book that will be coming out at some point. I think right now we're thinking it will be coming out, well, it hasn't been decided, but it's going to be more than a year. So I've had a 2020 book, a 2021 book, and a 2022 book. And I don't know when my fourth book is going to come out. It's under contract, so it will be coming out, but I think it might be an 18-month or a 2-year process instead of the 1 year that I've been on.
Now, is it going to be in the same genre?
Yes, it will be like the same readers who like my books already will like this book. I had thought that maybe I would move into mystery right now, and I'm still interested in trying to write books with murder. But I think right this second, that's not going to be book 4. I might be working on that on the side.
Yeah. Well, Kathleen, thank you so much for joining Book Hour. Before I let you go, tell viewers where they can find you on social media.
Well, if you Google Kathleen West author, everything comes up. I'm at Kathleen West Writes on Instagram and at KWest Books on Twitter. And I really like interacting with readers. So feel free to reach out to me or let me know if your book club picks the book or something. I'd be happy to join you.
Yeah, well, there you have it. Kathleen's handles are in the description below. Kathleen, thank you so much for joining Book Hour. And for those watching, I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much.